I'm Chip Townsend, and this is the Team Chip Podcast. Hey guys, welcome back to the Team Chip Podcast. We are super excited to be here with you. I have Miss Glyn Ann with me. How are you, babe?
Hey, I'm great.
Great. That's very good. Today we're going to talk about some leadership lessons. Are you ready?
I am.
We're going to share a story, an experience we had early in our days as martial arts school owners, right?
Yeah, I was actually like doing, as we were thinking about it, it feels like this happened, 10 years ago. And then I started going,
5. Come on, 5.
Oh, what? No, oh, no.
Feels like
and then
5.
I thought, oh my word, that was like 25.
Has it been 25? It's been a long time. It was a long time, right?
It was.
So kind of the idea here behind today's lesson is it's just going to be a story, just a little experience that we had that was pretty powerful, impacted us in a heavy way. But it's about, kind of trust, accountability, doing the right thing, and, being cautious with your business, that kind of thing. So basically, it was Thanksgiving. You remember that?
I do. We were coming up into a Thanksgiving break. We typically, early on, we would close the, day before Thanksgiving, and then, Thanksgiving Day, Friday after that weekend. And so we had somebody come by and saw that our parking lot needed a little TLC.
Well, in the early days, our parking lot was paved, but it had some potholes and it was very grayed out. The black was long gone, and the stripes for cars to park, were not there, and things were a little rougher than they are today. It's kind of getting that way a little bit today too. But anyway, by the way, it's a little rough. So we're in the school, and a guy comes in to hey, I've got a crew and I'd like to work on your parking lot. And we're young in the business. I'm thinking it might be more than 25 years. It's been a long time. And
well, I was pregnant with Lexi.
Okay, so then it was about 26 and it's about 26 years. Yeah. So anyway, the guy comes in and he's like, "Hey, I was looking at your parking lot and could use a little bit of work, and I've got a crew and I'd love to work on your parking lot and straighten it out for you." And Glyn Ann's like, "Hey, this is a great time because we're coming up on the Thanksgiving weekend.
Right.
We typically close Wednesday through the weekend anyway, right?"
Yep.
And so I was like, all right. So I said, all right, well, how much is it going to cost? And, he goes out and looks around, he comes back and he goes, well, he said, I can do it for so much. And I don't remember the numbers. They're not really, not too relevant at this point, but he said, I can do it for this much. And I said, well, okay, well, where's your crew at? And he goes, well, they're out in my truck. And so I walked outside and I looked, and sure enough, he had a little, just a little, mid-sized pickup and a bunch of, equipment in the bed of it and a couple of guys sitting in the truck. And I was like, all right, cool. So I come back in and, it's obvious he's a small operation, no big deal, which is great for us because we're a small operation.
Right. We can relate.
Yeah, 100%. And so I said, okay, well then let's do it. Will you do it over the Thanksgiving weekend? We're going to be closed this, Wednesday through the weekend. That gives you, plenty of time. Can that work? And he was like, oh man, that's perfect. We can do that. I was like, great. So we chatted for a minute, and the guy looks at me and he goes, well, hey, can I get you to make a deposit so I can pick up some of the supplies? And I thought, that was a bit of a red flag, but I'm young
but it also made sense to us too.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like, okay, he needs a deposit so that we don't bail on him. We're thinking the best.
Yeah, and absolutely. And so I'm like, all right. So I said, how much? And he told me, and it was a few $100s, and it's like, ooh, and at that time, it was like a lot of money for us, for sure. It is today, but it was like, oh, wow. I said, okay. I said, I tell you what. I said, I'll do that. I said, but here's what I want to do. I said, I want your driver's license. And I got every bit of information from him I could get. And I got his driver's license. I went in, I made a copy of it. And we had a little copier there, and made a copy. I wrote down his address, his phone number. I got everything I could get from the guy. And this is kind of pre-cell phones too, right?
Right, yeah. There's no cell phones. There's no, I don't even remember. I guess email was around, but we didn't even think about that.
I'm not sure if it was or not. It was back in the days whenever you dial in and it's like, oh, Lord. So anyway, the guy is supposed to come back on that Wednesday morning or whatever to get started. No, I forgot. He said, I'll bring the supplies back to you and I'll leave them here. And that was another reason I thought, okay, well, that's cool. If you'll just go pick your stuff up and bring it back here and leave it. And he said, that way, you know, you may be paying for it. It's kind of a deposit for me, but I'll drop the stuff here for you. Well, we go on with our evening, and that was kind of late in the afternoon, kind of evening anyway. And we go on and get through classes and get to the evening. Well, the guy never comes back.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, so I'm kind of looking around the school. So he's supposed to be there that Wednesday morning, which is like I think it was like the next morning. It was just right there. And he didn't show up. And so I'm pretty irate. And so I hop in my pickup and I drive to his address.
Right.
And sure enough, he is there. And so I walk up and he's in like a little mother-in-law house.
Like
kind of
a
a
garage apartment type
like
thing.
a apartment behind another little house, literally a few blocks from our school.
Yep.
So I walk up to the door and I dunk, dunk, dunk. I knock on it and it's just a screen door. The door was open and I see him. He's sitting in there on the side of a bed. And a lady comes to the door and she says, can I help you? And I said, yeah, I need to talk to him. And she says, oh, okay. And he sees me and he does not look comfortable. And he kind of shuffles around. I'm like, hey, I need you to come over here and have a chat with me for a minute. And he comes out the door and I said, hey, bud. I said, where's my equipment? He starts hem-hawing around. I said, well, then where's my money? And he hem-haws a little more. And he said, Chip, I'm sorry, man. I had to pay my rent. and I think I might have been a little more volatile at that time.
Maybe
I'm not quite as patient. And so I just looked at him straight up and said, either go in there and give me my money or I'm going to take it out of you right here. And he was in panic mode at this juncture and he's fidgeting and he's like, I'm sorry, man. I was going to get kicked out. I had to pay my rent. And I said, well, bud, you took my money to pay your rent. Mm-hmm. And the way I look at it, you owe me right now. And so, okay, I'm not sure what to do. And I said, well, here's what's going to happen. I said, since you don't have my money, I said, go get your work clothes on. And he looked at me kind of funny and I said, go put your work clothes on. And so I stood at the door while he went in and put on his jeans and his boots and his t-shirt. And I said, hop in the pickup with me. I said, where's your crew at? And he's like, I don't know. And I said, all right. So I took him to our school and I parked and I gave him a broom and I said, start cleaning the parking lot. And I made the guy sweep and clean the entire parking lot. And I said, okay. I said, while you're cleaning, tell me what to get. And I'm going to go buy the supplies because you're going to get this job done. And he's like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. You took my money and you committed to a job. You're going to finish it. And so he tells me what to get. So I run down to, I think, Lowe's or somewhere, and they have the material there and gather everything up, load it in my pickup, bring it back. And I get back and you remember where he was at?
He was around the corner and he was drinking.
He had wandered off. He had wandered down to the convenience store and got him a big old, what do they call them, a 40 or something, a big beer. And he was hidden behind my building, swigging on that beer. And
granted, this is like 9:30 in the morning. This is not.
Yes.
He's not put in a full day.
And so anyway, it's funny now. Then I was not happy about this, and so I drive up and he's not there. The broom's just like leaned over on the building. I'm like, oh man, he bolted on me. So I drive around and find him behind the building. I'm like, hey man, what are you doing? He's like, I'm sorry, I had to have a drink. I'm like, you know what? Just enjoy your drink. I said, as soon as you're done, I'll be sitting right here and here's your equipment and there's the broom. and so here's the point of the story. We spent, I don't know if you remember this, the majority, almost our entire Thanksgiving weekend from that Wednesday through, I kind of think it took him into Sunday.
Yeah, and I feel like that there at some point in time there was somebody that came and helped him. I don't remember specific details, but
We sat on the tailgate of my pickup and had snacks and watched this guy work. And that is so counterintuitive to me because I can't stand to watch somebody push a broom and not help, right?
Right.
But I was also like, there's a point to this. You committed to a job. You took my money, a deposit, and then went and you stole it and went and paid your rent. And so we gave up our Thanksgiving pretty much. and we sat and watched him redo our entire parking lot. And guess what? He got it done.
He did.
And it ended up costing us in supplies more than he had quoted me originally just to
Right.
do the job. And I didn't know that. I should have taken some time and researched it, but I did not. So that was lesson one as a young business person. Do a little researching, get 2 or 3 quotes on things, make sure you know
Yeah.
what you're paying for and how it works a little bit. And I did not. Just kind of trusted the guy. And, you know, trust doesn't pop up. It grows like a tree. It takes time, right?
Right.
And so anyway, it was a memorable experience. And he ended up getting the job done. And then, do you remember the next funny part of the story?
Yeah, and then about a week later, or you know, now it seems like a week. It may have been 2, maybe been a month. I don't know. He actually came by and asked for a reference, and it was like,
Yeah, he did.
well, actually, in good conscience, I cannot send you to someone else to do what you did with us. You know, I mean,
So-
and the thing is, you know, during that time, I also remember, you know, it sounds kind of cold the way
Right.
at retelling it, but we actually did have we did talk to him, and we were having conversations with him, and it wasn't like we were over,
Right.
you know, sitting underneath an umbrella enjoying, you know,
Mai Tai while he's over there
while
working.
he's working.
Yeah.
And you know, and honestly, he said he would do it, and
Well, and
that
several
was
times
really, we would have not been wrong
in those
but-
conversations, I asked him several, you know, where's your crew? You know, where are your guys at? You know,
Yeah.
you got somebody to come help you. And I struggled with it internally because I wanted to help the guy. You know,
Right.
just get it done, man.
You know, and I think
But-
that right there, that piece of it is, you know, even as like parents, whenever kids do something and they make just a downright terrible decision,
Right.
and you in the moment are mad, and you're like, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, and you're going to do this, and then it's hard to follow through. Through with that, because sometimes you really your empathy starts to kick in, and you go, oh, yeah, this is really hard for them. But then you have to step back and go, okay, is that actually true? Me feeling sorry for them, but they're actually doing what they said that they would do. Actually,
Actually, no, you can get this
it's
done.
okay. You
Mhm.
can
You
get
can
this
get this
done,
done.
but I don't have to be a jerk to you.
100%.
And I will say, you know,
We went and picked up food for him. We'd bring
did.
him food. We would
We did.
chat with him. We weren't mean to him, but hey
it
man,
was like,
you got to get
can't-
this done.
And we did say, you know, we don't feel like we can leave because we don't feel like we can trust you.
Right.
And but yes, we water and food and all those things, and
We didn't buy him beer.
and we didn't.
We got him water or a soda pop and food, and that's it. But we kept him going.
But it was actually, you know, it sounds like in retelling it, it can come off as like
Yeah,
a real
of
cold
course.
thing. But it actually, we did like, oh, you know, if I got a broom and you got a broom, and it was like, no, actually, that is not
He
doing
committed to this
anything.
job. He said he had
This is-
people and was going to get this done.
And,
Yeah.
and then, you know, because then on the flip side, you're going, wow, this is a great Thanksgiving break. Hope you're having fun. Enjoy your turkey. You know, oh, never mind. You know, whatever.
You know, and it's when you sit back and listen to that in and of itself, you know how blessed we were just to get to set on a great vehicle and
Yes.
just, you know, be there and own a business and property. You know what I mean? Like, it sounds like it was awful, but it wasn't. It wasn't
That's
awful
right.
at all.
No,
but
it really
in hindsight,
wasn't.
we probably had a great time chatting, and we enjoyed chatting with him. And I would like to say, I think that's why he came back and asked for a reference. We treated him good. We didn't
Right.
treat him bad
Right.
at all. That's
But we
what
also,
gave him,
in good conscience, couldn't give him a good reference. You know, it was like, I'm sorry, but, you know, I don't think that we
No,
could
bud,
really
I can't do
recommend
this.
you going to someone else because,
Right.
you know,
He had gone down the street and quoted
Mm-hmm.
another job on a parking lot and told him he had done mine. And then he was like, hey, can you reference me? I was like, brother, I'm proud you got it done, but no, I'm not. I can't do that.
Maybe get a little bit more experience, and this was a rough one, but
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I think we did some things good and we did some things bad. Number one, the bad was, you know, we should have done some research.
Right.
Kind of known. And this is, again, keep in mind, this is kind of pre-Google. It would have been dig through the phone book, call another paving company, and get someone to come in. But we should have taken the time.
Right. And we, one of the things he had told us, this is like getting into the weeds of the story, but he had told us that he had, the hot top and he was going to do that. And then it ended up that we were buying these 5-gallon buckets of this
of a cold topping,
top stuff
black
that you
top
got
that you put down, right?
That you got at like a home improvement store.
Right.
And, not the same durability or quality at all. But we still went with it because it was like, no, we have to get this done. Well, we're in it now.
I gave him, my brain is saying about $400 to go pick up supplies, and it was,
I don't remember at all.
Big mistake, trusting him to go get them and bring them back to us,
Right.
And that was part of the reason I did is I had a copy of it. I should have kept his actual driver's license, but I had a copy of it and, just thought, well, if nothing else, hopefully I can hunt him down and find him. And sure enough, we did. But, and what he promised was not what he delivered. But at the same time, we were invested at that point. $400 was, make or break, and so
Right.
we couldn't
Right.
back off at that point. It was like, somebody's got to get this job done.
Right.
And so kind of put my boot on him and said, you're going to get it done, brother, because you committed to it. And that's just the way this is going to work.
As we were preparing for this, I was thinking, okay, so this is like an example of whenever we did hold somebody accountable, and really kind of
Right.
us too, we said, okay, we're going to stick with you we're going to stick out here until you finish it. And,
Right.
and that part was hard. But I got to thinking, okay, have there been times that I've been held accountable to something, and did I love it whenever that was happening? And one of the times that I was thinking about, that just the first one that popped into my mind, we had agreed to do an adventure race with somebody.
Right.
And it was getting hard, and there was a lot of running. And I remember you were behind me, and I was thinking, okay, I just think I want to walk for a minute. And you would just say, I don't remember the exact rank, but you were like 4th degree black belt. And I was like, I know. And yes, sir, I'm going. And that's the thing. Accountability isn't always, it sounds like the concept is like, oh, it's so good. Somebody says, you can do it. And sometimes it's those little words that are like grating and they make you mad in the moment. But
I'm so happy now to know how happy I make you, honey.
No. This was that one time.
That was always just one time. Thank goodness it was only one.
Just that one time. But I think it's so, when it was all said and done, I was actually very appreciative of that because it was a gut check of like, okay.
Well, I'm going to say that was a 14-mile Spartan, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was huge.
It was huge.
It wasn't
long.
like
it was
a
not
little half mile.
And there were some, pretty challenging obstacles and ups and downs and carrying things and climbing things. And it was an absolute blast when we were done. And I'll be transparent. I cramped like crazy during parts of that run too.
Yeah.
And you patiently kind of waited with me as I was working out a calf cramp and a quad cramp. And
but I think
because we didn't prep for it at all. We're like, we're in shape. Let's go.
We got this. And, anyway.
It was an experience.
Multiple learning experiences there. But I think the big one, as I was thinking about, not just this is a time whenever we held somebody accountable, but there's been times when people have held us accountable.
My gosh. Absolutely.
And in the moment, you may not always receive it real well.
Right.
Sometimes that you can receive it by being defensive. That's not productive. But you can also kind of be like on the inside. But then there's also, if you're really, really, really honest with yourself, after you get past that little, you're like, yeah, you're right.
Right.
You're right.
I need to step into this and go.
And that is really the key to accountability in a big picture is honestly being honest with yourself and going, they're right. They're right. I told them, yes, you can ask me how my, if I give you, a lot of times things like accountability seem to be attached to a lifestyle change, whether it's, cutting out something or incorporating something, whether that's exercise or diet or any of that.
I think I'm going to lose 20 pounds. I ask people all the time, are you okay if I ask you how it's going?
Yeah. And
can I have permission to be your accountability? Can I have permission to prod you a little bit every now and then?
Yeah. And whenever you also get to that, the other thing that personal honesty does is it also puts into perspective the trust that you have for the person that's doing it.
Right.
Okay. What is, all of these things you're thinking real fast or kind of clicking through your head, but you're going, okay, what is do they want what's best for me? Actually, yeah. Okay.
Okay. and then a lot of times after the fact, you're proud of the accomplishment because, the 14
100%.
miles, the parking lot, let's think about this. He came back asking for a reference. There had to have been a sense of, I'm kind of proud of what I've gotten done.
That's right.
Because I went down the street and quoted me another job. I'm going to do it again.
Right.
And so, yeah, accountability is tough. But
it is.
As a small business, be cautious how fast you trust. Be cautious of the systems and the deals that you make with them. Be discerning, do research, kind of prepare yourself. But there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of lessons to be learned in this. And I was probably lucky that the guy didn't pull a gun out when I walked up to his door.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. When you think about those kind of like, oh goodness. Ooh, okay.
Some of the things that I've done is like, hey, thank you, Jesus, for bringing me through that one. Cause probably a lot of unseen things I'd missed, but,
and I think a thing with, another lesson that we learned out of that is, somebody comes with something bright and shiny and you're excited about that. And instead of thinking through, you go, the timing is right. This is right. Let's do it. And all of those little things that would normally have been a red flag, you just kind of like squish.
That's right.
Instead of, because the whole, I need because, the down payment thing. I need this down payment. And it's going to be like, okay, that's a pretty good chunk of the whole thing. But, whatever.
What I think of is the white socks theory.
That absolutely. I was thinking of that too.
If you are more excited, and I think part of to connect the dots, we were young. We knew our parking lot looked rough.
Yep.
And we were kind of like, woo, we can get this done. And I do remember knowing what he quoted me. I was like, that seems pretty good.
Yeah,
it's
that's
not bad. I think we can swing this. And so you're spot on. That kind of that emotional excitement of, okay, cool, we can get this done. And we don't have to do it ourselves at that point. We were rebuilding, knocking holes in walls. We did everything on our own.
Right.
And so it was like, hey, we can have somebody else do this and we can make this work this time, right? And you're right. That excitement kind of made us hide those red flags a little bit.
It swayed our,
The white socks piece, just to connect that dot, is we got more excited about that than we would be about buying a pair of white socks.
Right.
And so when you get into a decision-making situations where your emotions, we can make huge mistakes on the negative side of our emotions, and we can also make huge mistakes on the positive side. In other words, I can be really angry and say things I regret. I can be super happy and spend money I don't have.
Right.
There's two sides of that coin. So yeah, I think a lot of good lessons there. Hope you guys picked up some nuggets out of that and enjoyed that, hearing us hang out a little bit of our laundry and tell some of our stories. And we'll continue to do more. If you want to hear more, shoot us some messages, let us know, comment, like it, share it, subscribe to our podcast, please. And let us know what you would like to hear. And we're thankful for you. And I appreciate you jumping in and chatting with me today.
Absolutely.
Good times. All right. You guys have a good day. Thank you for tuning into the Team Chip Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget, subscribe, share, and or leave a review, because we need you. We appreciate you so much. And without you, we can't make this happen. Remember, consistency is the key to success. So go out there and never be outworked.